Welcome back to LEGO Battlebots Season 3. One more episode before the tournament officially begins, and that is a set of play-in matches. There were 17 bots that went 2-2 this season, and now they will all play each other for one last chance to make the tournament. Kicking things off, we have Uppercut versus Blip. Uppercut made it all the way to the semi-finals in Season 1, eventually took 3rd place. Blip didn't do as well, making the round of 16. You know what, Blip did do better than Uppercut in Season 2, 2-2, the Uppercut's 1-3. Now they set the same record, 2-2, of course, with their tournament lives on the line. Win and you're in, lose and you are eliminated. This fight, I can imagine, is going to be over fairly quickly. Either Uppercut is going to rip off those forks and dominate from there, or Blip is going to get underneath and throw Uppercut out the arena. I mean, that's the only two ways I can see this fight going. I feel like it's going to be a very quick fight. Let's see who wins it and clinches one of the last spots in the tournament down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. Uppercut already getting underneath Blip and ripping off both of those forks. Blip is going to have serious trouble trying to get underneath Uppercut now and get that flipper into play. And Uppercut is going to take full advantage of that, now landing shots on the back of Blip and just using those forks to just get underneath Blip at every opportunity now. Which is every time the two bots connect. Blip's doing surprisingly well to withstand the shots for now, but I'd say it's only a matter of time before Blip ends up destroyed. There goes even more parts, as both eyes and what's left of the front wedge. Blip is starting to fall apart here. He got an unlucky matchup in this one, and now their season is falling apart. Blip, I don't know if they can self-right from that position, but they certainly can from that one with help from Uppercut. That Uppercut taking complete control. There's another. That was a weird self-right from Blip, but they're back up. But Blip is just struggling. There is nothing they can do to Uppercut. Oh, they had an opportunity there. They tried to flip Blip, but it just didn't work. That was probably their last shot in order to get a flip in this fight, and yep, that is gonna do it. The flipper is separated from the wheel pods, and both parts are separated. One part's even out of the arena now, and this fight is over. Blip eliminated as Uppercut secures its place in the tournament. Well, Uppercut decided this fight in the first hit, as I kind of expected. One of the bots too. Ripping off both forks of Blip meant that Blip just couldn't get underneath, and it meant that couldn't flip Uppercut, and that just led to Blip's demise. It took a lot longer than I expected, but Uppercut was still able to rip Blip apart and get the knockout win. That win, Uppercut is now in the tournament for the first time since Season 1, and Blip is still in a playoff drought. Uppercut along with the other 8 bots that do win, and other 7 bots that do win in these play-in matches, will be ranked in the bottom 8 seeding, so it's gonna have a tough match whoever it goes up against, but at least it's in the playoffs, it has a chance, and who knows, it could go far. Next up, we have a very interesting clash of designs between Yeti and Hammerhead. Neither of these bots has a really great ground game, but Hammerhead has the ground scraping wedge, while Yeti only has those forks, which are not good ground game at all. So Hammerhead, I'd say, has the advantage there, but it's going to be incredibly difficult to knock out Yeti. I mean, it's one of the most durable bots in the field, and sure, that weapon isn't the most powerful, but if Hammerhead knocks itself over accidentally, Yeti could take the opportunity to land some shots with that drum spin or even get Hammerhead out of the arena, but that could just not happen, and Hammerhead just takes control of the fight. It's really a very interesting clash, and really anything could happen, so let's see what does happen down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. Hammerhead getting underneath Yeti as expected and flipping them over. Now trying to get them on the screws, and they do. Yeti in a lot of trouble early, but obviously there's a ton of time in this fight still. But Hammerhead gets underneath again. And they're dropping that hammer, getting points for that, but it's not going to do much damage at all. Maybe they could break the drum spinner. I think that's the only realistic damage that could happen in this fight. Well, uppercut. Now to get... Why did I say uppercut? A hammerhead, I mean, gets Yeti in the screws again. And there, and now off the screws. Hammerhead in control of this fight right now. Yeti still charging right at Hammerhead. And now Hammerhead is throwing Yeti onto the screws again. That wedge is working to perfection. That hammer is doing nothing. They're just... Yeti just cannot find a way to do any real major damage. And there they go on top of Hammerhead again. I mean, I'm sure they might not be able to do much damage because of how durable Hammerhead is to that kind of weapon. But they need to find, at the very least, need to find a way to stop getting pushed around and bullied by a Hammerhead because neither bot is doing damage. That's going to mean all of the important points are going to go to Hammerhead in this one. Should this fight go the full 2 minutes, which is very possible. And now Yeti can't spin up its weapon. There we go. 5 failed attempts in a row. That did not look good for Yeti. And now, oh, whoa, big suplex there from Hammerhead. And now Yeti appears to be stuck on that weapon. That's going to be more control points for Hammerhead as they just continue to dominate this fight. The only thing Hammerhead has struggled with throughout this entire fight is getting Yeti off of that hammer. And then by doing that, they are getting more control points by carrying Yeti around the arena. This is how bad it is going for Yeti. Yeah, this is Season 1's number 4 seed, just completely floundering in this one. And finally, Hammerhead able to escape. If I just get that guy underneath Yeti, gets going right back to it. They've tried to get them into the pit several times. They've tried to bring this fight to an end. It just hasn't quite worked perfectly for them. Now they're trying to get Yeti onto the screws one more time, get some more points as this fight is winding down to its conclusion. It does look like this fight is indeed going to go to the judges. And what a performance it's been by Hammerhead. No real damage done to either bot, but Hammerhead took all of the points that mattered. Well, that was about as clean as a win you could as Hammerhead could have expected in that fight. Complete domination. They didn't flip over once. They maintained their patience. They only fired the hammer when Yeti was vulnerable, and even though it did precisely nothing, it still counted towards aggression and control for them. And that's all the points that matter. With neither bot able to do any damage to each other, the focus goes to control and aggression, and Hammerhead dominated both of those categories. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, Yeti, sure, it kept going right at Hammerhead, like, it didn't fear it, but that meant nothing because Hammerhead was winning every single exchange. Because they just could not do anything to Hammerhead. Hammerhead was very resilient in this fight, took a lot of shots, and sure, Yeti took a lot of shots, but again, it didn't matter because Hammerhead was just controlling the entire fight. This is an absolute embarrassment for Yeti, a former undefeated bot, former quarterfinalist, and now it's probably not going to make the playoffs if the judges see the same things that I did. But what a showing from Hammerhead. That was the fight they wanted. They got a good matchup, and they completely took advantage of it, and got about as perfect a performance as you could have expected. The winner, by an 11-4 judge decision, is Hammerhead. Next up, we have a battle of lifters, Duck and Gruff. very similar records, though Duck has been performing much better recently, making it to the round of 16 in Season 2, while Gruff only finished 2-2. And with both bots just so durable, it's going to come down to ground game, which Duck has the absolute advantage in, having cheese-like wedges. But that lifter is pretty vulnerable to damage, which unlike Gruff, so if Gruff could somehow find a way to remove that, this could become a very easy fight for them. That is going to be difficult without a very damaging weapon. Interesting fight between two lifters. Let's see who qualifies for the tournament down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. Duck getting underneath Gruff and immediately trying to flip it over. There, taking control, bring over to the corner, but Duck's the one getting hit by the pulverizer here. Or I am getting the one hit by the pulverizer there. But now Gruff trying to suffer, but Duck just deposits them in the pits. And that was another perfect performance, this time by Duck. They just got underneath once, and they took complete control of Gruff. They pushed them into the corner with the pit, and then threw them in. Duck qualifies for the Season 3 tournament, while Gruff is eliminated. For our fourth fight, we see if another creator's bot can take on an AI-designed machine. It's Inverse versus Venom Strike, Police Average versus ChatGPT. Both bots are rookies coming in off of good wins in challenger rounds, and now sit at 2-2 in this season, and both have very complementary strengths and weaknesses. Venom Strike obviously has the better ground game, but those forks are vulnerable to that big spinner of Inverse. Inverse is very susceptible to being controlled, but Venom Strike's tail is very hard to use effectively. It's a very fascinating matchup, and I genuinely have no idea how this fight's gonna go. So let's see what happens down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. Venom Strike getting underneath Inverse, deflecting them early, already putting them on the back foot, already taking control, though Inverse has been able to get away so far. Trying to get those forks there, and Venom Strike did a little bit of a driving error there, but able to reset. Oh, great deflection there. And now Venom Strike grabs a hold of Inverse, trying to put them into the screws. And now this is some great control to start this fight from Venom Strike. So far, 0 damage has been done to Venom Strike, and that tail is working about as effectively as it can. And they are succeeding in grabbing Inverse, just at least moving them around the arena, which is what Venom Strike wants to do. Just keep them off balance and keep that big weapon from coming into serious play. And now they get another great amount of control in here, trying to get Inverse completely on the screws. They haven't been able to do that quite yet, but they are still keeping that big spinner of Inverse at bay. Doing this great job down. Oh, there goes there's 3 of Venom Strike's forks, and Inverse going after the last one. Not much left on the wedge of Venom Strike. Right here, this is becoming a serious problem now for Venom Strike, but they do get another brilliant hold. And that's just a perfect use of that tail weapon. We have not seen them use it this effectively since their fight against Bronco all the way back in their first fight. And they just keep taking control of despite the damage to their forks. We're well over halfway through this fight now. And Inverse, finally takes off the last fork. The front is wide open, but can they do enough damage in order to seal this win? Because right now, I'd say Venom Strike's still ahead on points. Because they have not done more damage than Venom Strike has gotten control, but now they're starting to turn the tables a bit, taking more control. But most of the times they attack, they're just bouncing off. Sure, that's good aggression, but it's not quite control. It's not quite what they're looking for. No, Venom Strike gets around to the back, trying to rip the tail, but that's a great lift there from Inverse, and now Venom Strike's tail dangling over the wall. Can they get back in the arena? Inverse continues its assault, but and Venom Strike able to get back in, but Inverse just throws them right back over. Venom Strike, can they get back in? Is there enough time? Oh my goodness, the countdown has started on Venom Strike, but is there enough time to complete it? Well, it doesn't matter since they're back in the arena, and this fight will indeed go to a judge's decision. Second judge's decision of the episode. We don't normally have a lot of those. I mean, normally it's just one. But here we go. Venom Strike dominated the first half of the fight, I would say, getting complete control of Inverse and using their tail to perfection. I mean, they were completely in control. They were doing exactly what they wanted to do, and Inverse was not getting the damage they wanted. They were not getting through those forks, and they were kind of worried, but they weren't getting into a position where they could rip them off. And Venom Strike just kept that going for a long time, and this was pure Venom Strike domination in this first half, and that's a very strong statement to start off on. But eventually Inverse did get to those forks and ended up ripping off all of them. But even so, Venom Strike was able to get one last major grab in the second half of the fight, and this second half being a lot more contested than the first half. It probably puts it in Venom Strike's favor at least a little bit more, but this was an incredibly close fight after that. Inverse, after this, it was primarily Inverse's fight. They were landing all of the shots. Venom Strike could not really do much without any of its forks. And there were some serious problems for Venom Strike going forward. Eventually, the Inverse was able to even turn the tables, get some control on Venom Strike late into the match, get their tail over the wall, and nearly resulted in them being counted out. But fortunately, they were saved by themselves, and even if they weren't, they probably would have been saved by the bell anyways. But it was still a very close call for Venom Strike. This is a very interesting fight. Does the damage that Inverse done and the late control and the constant aggression get them the win? Or does Venom Strike's dominant performance in the early half seal it for them? The winner by an 8-7 judge decision is Venom Strike. Next up, we see two pretty unsuccessful bots fighting for a guaranteed tournament spot, those being Son of Whyachi and Cobalt. Cobalt was actually able to make the round 32 last season, but got knocked out in the first round to the 2 seed, the other glitch. Son of Whyachi was only able to go 2-2 in that season as well, despite the redesign. But now, whoever wins this fight will make the playoffs. Cobalt looking for their second appearance, and they do have a powerful spinner and a good wedge that can probably take some shots from Son of Whyachi, but that weapon is very fragile, as we've seen in the past. And while Son of Whyachi is not exactly the paragon of reliability, it can certainly outlast the weapon of Cobalt, and if it can take that out, that will make it significantly easier. And Cobalt's high center of mass might not help at all in this fight. But who knows what's going to happen? Let's see what does down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. The Son of Whyachi and Cobalt both spin up and both take recoil from that. Son of Whyachi going flying, but Cobalt also going spinning. Very interesting collisions to start this fight, though it seems Cobalt is getting the better of Son of Whyachi. They're going flying less from these shots, but there's a good shot by Son of Whyachi. Oh, and now Cobalt flips Son of Whyachi over. That is really not good. And now they throw him in the screws, and now into the space between the pit and the screw mount. We've seen bots get stuck there plenty of times before, and it looks like it's going to happen again as Cobalt takes the KO and advances to round 32 for the second season in a row.
Knockout.
There were some great shots to kick off this fight. Both bots were delivering good hits. Son of Whyachi going flying while Cobalt going spinning around. but Cobalt was able to get the better of the exchange, eventually flipping Son of Whyachi over and then putting it in the corner. Cobalt securing its place in the round of 32, while Son of Whyachi misses out for the second season in a row. Next, we have a very interesting matchup between Fusion and Big Dill. Big Dill, a rookie, coming in after a win in Challengers and 2-2 right now. Fusion looking to make it for the tournament for the second season in a row. They did not do well as last season. In Season 2, they started off 3-0 before finally falling to Witch Doctor, but by that time they had clinched a playoff spot, so it didn't matter. Now they sit at a win and you're in, lose and you're eliminated fight. Fusion, it does not have the most powerful weapons, and Big Dill has this superior ground game, I would guess, but Big Dill is not the most durable of bots, so Fusion Horizontal Spinner might actually be able to do some damage and carve Big Dill up here. That's only if they have enough opportunities to do so. Let's see what happens down the arena. Let the bot battle begin. Fusion attacking with that horizontal spinner as anticipated. And a Big Dill able to get underneath, gets a little lifted, but not able to flip Fusion over. Fusion can't self-right, so Big Dill could end this fight quickly. But there goes one of the forks off of Big Dill, already falling off. Probably, I guess, from the weight of lifting Fusion rather than the actual spinner itself, because that spinner does seem to be a bit high off the ground, or it be really targeting those forks. But I think we're already starting to see some damage on the other one. And Big Dill trying to lift Fusion again, a little bit more successful there, but not quite able to flip him over. Those forks and Fusion working more as a defensive measure than an offensive measure to try and get underneath. He's Big Dill. Oh, and the other fork snaps there. You can see Big Dill still has his wedge though, and is still able to get underneath Fusion, as we see here. No big slam, but unable again to flip Fusion. The Fusion center of mass just appears to be a bit too low for Big Dill to reliably get them over, but they are getting very close several times throughout this fight now. And they have the opportunity for another lift, unable to take advantage of it. Fusion's weapon, Fusion's horizontal spinner, trying to do as much as it can in order to break through Big Dill's wedges, but so far, no luck. And Big Dill keeps hovering, keeps threatening with that lifter, and one lucky attack could spell the end of Fusion. And now Fusion swapping around to that vertical spinner now, and now they flip Big Dill. How the turns have tabled, as now Big Dill sitting upside down. It can't self-right with the full force, but can it self-right without them? Especially with Fusion ripping off the last part of Big Dill's forks there. Big Dill is struggling right now, and I don't think they can get up. The countdown has started. Big Dill's trying to get up, trying to escape a knockout like Venom Strike did earlier on, but it is not going to happen. Fusion takes the win. This was pretty surprisingly close, and honestly surprisingly in favor of Big Dill. Sure, they lost those forks early on, but that really didn't affect them too much, as they were still able to consistently get underneath Fusion and lift them up into the air, always threatening, but never quite able to flip Fusion over. But Fusion was using that horizontal spinner to much better effect than most of its fights, but it was still unable to land those crippling shots, those wedges, and that might have cost them the fight. But Fusion, when they adapted, they swapped around to their forks, were able to actually get underneath the wedges of Big Dill, which I was surprised about, and they were able to flip Big Dill over, and with the damage they had done earlier, they were able to completely immobilize them and knock them out. Fusion secures its second tournament place. He's in 2 seasons, while Big Dill, the rookie, they had a decent run, but in the end, they're stopped one step short. For our 7th fight, we've got a bit of a special treat for you guys. We have a rumble between Deadlift, Lucky, and Same Day Delivery. Very interesting fight we have going on. But all of these bots have their strengths and weaknesses. All control bots primarily rather than damage dealing weapons. And there's just a fascinating Stubborn's bot. Deadlift and Lucky actually fought earlier in the season. Deadlift was able to take the win there. But now all three of these bots sit at 2-2. And I have no idea how this fight's gonna play out. Lucky could beat both, Deadly could beat both, and all three of these bots could defeat the other two. And if one could beat one, and then the other defeats the second. So we're just gonna see what happens down the arena. Let the robot rumble begin. Oh, Lucky trying to attack Deadlift now, teams. To start things off, and now same day delivery going after Deadlift. Now Deadlift's in the screws now, and Lucky going after same day delivery. Kind of frantic start to this fight. It's same day delivery getting flipped a couple times for Lucky, but now Deadlift escapes the screws and is back in the arena. The same day delivery and Lucky going after each other. Lucky going after Deadlift now. Now the double team Lucky, but now going after same day delivery, going after Deadlift. Deadlift does seem to be the main priority in this fight. Not sure how great a decision this is. Oh, Lucky now really going after same day delivery. There goes the wedge, and that's gonna do it for same day delivery. They are now out of the arena, and now it's just a pure rematch between Lucky and Deadlift, with same day delivery's wedge still in the arena. And Deadlift appears to be getting the upper hand over Lucky here, as Lucky has been flipped in screws and now flipped over. Deadlift going on the attack now, pinning Lucky in the corner, and getting a great lift there, and just depositing Lucky in the pit. Well, this kind of was frantic. Lucky and same day delivery both targeting Deadlift. That was indeed the right decision, but ultimately they just couldn't get Deadlift out of the arena before Lucky backstabbed same day delivery and threw them out of the arena. And that led to a Lucky Deadlift rematch, which Deadlift won once again. And with that, same day delivery and Lucky are eliminated. And very unfortunate for those two bots. Lucky's made a turn before, same day delivery has come close several times. But in the end, it is Deadlift finally seeing some success. Now 3-2, it's definitely going to get a low seed in the tournament. But they're in the tournament for the first time in their career. And now it is time for the main event, the last spot in Season 3's tournament. The defending champion Sawblaze versus the two-time quarterfinalist and fan favorite Siege Engine. The last time these two bots fought, it was for Season 2's #1 overall seed. Now, they fight for their tournament lives. Sawblaze was able to get the upper hand in that first match by flipping Siege Engine over. Siege Engine couldn't self-right then, but it absolutely can now. And it's still the very dangerous front edge ever used to be, despite both bots each having a 2-2 record. This is just gonna be a great fight. It's impossible to tell who's gonna win. Sawblaze, of course, could use that same strategy, trying to get around to the side of Siege Engine, but Siege Engine could just get underneath the front anyways. I mean, Sawblaze could somehow get underneath the front. That could happen as well. It's just a fight with a lot of variables, a lot on the line. And whoever loses this will be eliminated from the playoffs for the first time in their careers. So let's see who's able to clinch the last spot in the Season 3 tournament down the arena. Let the main event begin. The clash for the last spot in the Season 3 tournament is on the line. It's Sawblaze getting the advantage early, getting underneath Siege Engine, and taking control of this fight. They did exactly what they did in the first match, got around to the side of Siege Engine, and now they have Siege Engine flipped over already, trying to get them into the screws, trying to end this fight early like they did last time, but Siege Engine is not going to make that easy. When their flipper is fired and they are upside down, they can drive upside down, and if it's not fired, they can still self-right. So Siege Engine is still in a very bad spot here. But There, now I've said, and there's the first use of that flip itself, right? But Sawblaze gets underneath the front. This is not looking good for Siege Engine early on, as Sawblaze has turned the tables from last season and has become the lower bot. But Sawblaze makes a crucial driving error there. Siege Engine gets around to the side and then back, but can't get Sawblaze into the pit. It's so close there, but now they get underneath again and jam Sawblaze into the screws. What a turnaround by Siege Engine is putting on here. But Sawblaze gets underneath again, gets to the side, dropping that hammer saw now, trying to slow the fight to a pace they're more comfortable with. Siege Engine usually the more aggressive bot, and oh my goodness, what a slam there, and Sawblaze loses a middle fork. That's going to make it a lot more difficult for Sawblaze to get underneath. Back and forth action in this epic main event right now. Sawblaze trying to put Siege Engine up onto the screws. They do so again, and Sawblaze, they're looking to do it again. Sawblaze has had the advantage, but Siege Engine is not out of this fight. There, can absolutely still get underneath with a pulverizer shot. That could help, but Siege Engine gets underneath Sawblaze again. And while that weapon just doesn't seem to have enough oomph to get Sawblaze with the pit, they nearly get them there. Oh my goodness. Back and forth these titans go. Neither one willing to back down, but Sawblaze has the advantage at this point in time, trying to flip Siege Engine, and they do so. Sawblaze has control for a little bit longer until Siege Engine self-rights. Now they scoop up Siege Engine, trying to throw it out of the arena there, and they're maintaining control now. Really, and that's gonna do it. What a main event. What a way to round out the regular season. And just absolutely incredible performance by both these bots. Sawblaze started out with the advantage, and I say would be the favorite bot to win in this one. I guess we'd be fair, of course, the defending champion. But they started out in control, but Siege Engine refused to let that get to their heads. Sawblaze made a driving mistake very similar to the one they made against Tantrum in just their last fight, and Siege Engine took advantage of that. And their weapon just didn't have the power that it had in past seasons to throw Sawblaze into the pit. But I think that, but you might now criticize the addition on Siege Engine's flipper that allows it to self-right, but Siege Engine used that several times during this fight, and if it didn't have that, it would have just straight up lost this fight by knockout, because Sawblaze flipped Siege Engine so early. But Siege Engine was able to press back against Sawblaze, jam them into the screws severely, and then slam them into the wall and breaking off one of their forks, which could have been catastrophic for Sawblaze had Siege Engine been able to continue their onslaught. But this was just a back and forth. Sawblaze was able to get around Siege Engine, not entirely consistently, but enough times that Siege Engine wasn't dominating the fight and just breaking off Sawblaze's parts left and right. And even though some more of Sawblaze's armor did come off, and eventually Sawblaze was able to flip Siege Engine over one last time, and with a little bit of a rally similar to, ironically, Standalone versus Red Blow, if you remember that fight, they were able to slam Siege Engine back and forth and eventually get them out of the arena. So unfortunate for the fan favorite to fall here, but Sawblaze, the defending champion, is not going to let its playoff run end without a fight.